All right. Hey, dancers, welcome. It's so great to see you today. Today, I want to talk with you all about a question that I get very frequently, which is how do I know when I'm ready for pointe shoes? I get this both from people who've never been on pointe before and from people who were on pointe maybe as a kid or as an adult even and took a break and are ready to get back on pointe or wanting to get back on pointe. So I want to talk a little bit about this today. I'll mention that, pointe work, like many things, like many physical activities, does have some dangers and risks to it. So generally as teachers and as ballet studios, we're super careful with getting people up on pointe to make sure we mitigate injuries. But as adults, this is the great thing about being adult dancers, is that this is a risk we can choose to take and that many of us do because it is so beautiful and so fabulous and so worth it, in my opinion, and in many others as well. So we do tend to be pretty careful with who we put up on pointe, and I don't recommend that you get a pair of pointe shoes without having a teacher to check your feet, whether that's online or in the studio, or with some supervision of a teacher to help you through it, just because there are some inherent risks in being up on your toes. So with that said, I want to talk about what I look for and what I test for at Broche Ballet for being ready for pointe. So I like to break it down into a few categories of being ready for pointe. Number one, big one, is just general ballet knowledge. So we don't want to be up on pointe if we don't know what's going on in ballet class. The pointe shoes, because they feel so foreign on your feet, they take a lot of mental energy to process even wearing the shoes. And if you're still very new to ballet as in general and everything is a lot, it's going to just be a lot to process. One of the biggest risks with adult dancers is discouragement. So there is physical risk with this and with any other kind of physical program you would have. But one of the biggest risks with adult dancers is that we will be discouraged about our ability to do something and feel that we aren't cut out for this and will quit. So one of my biggest concerns with ballet knowledge is not putting a dancer up on pointe until I feel like they're ready to take on that challenge mentally and that they won't get the shoes, get discouraged and quit, because there's really nothing more tragic as a teacher than pushing someone too hard and them quitting because of it, or them not being able to do something that's really challenging and quitting because they think the little voices in their head that say you can't do this or you're not good enough or adults can't do this will just be amplified when you are in a challenging position. So we want to make sure that we're in a really strong and healthy place with our ballet knowledge and with our general place in the ballet world. So that's the biggest thing with ballet knowledge. Number two, I think about strength. So strength has many portions to it. Number one, big one, is core strength. So the ability to hold your body still while you're doing something like a releve passe. So if we're doing a releve passe and our body's falling backwards every time or falling side to side, that's going to be really challenging when we get up to pointe, because we have to really put a lot of oomph into getting up onto pointe. And we want to have the core strength to be able to control that. So being able to push and give yourself speed and momentum without falling over or changing your body. We want to really keep our body nice and strong. Turnout strength is a big one. So we've got core so far. Next is turnout. Turnout is really important because, as you may well know, by the time you go, the easiest place to have turnout is in plie. Then straight legs gets a little harder, then releve gets even harder, and then pointe gets even harder to maintain your turnout. So we want to have turnout strength. Range doesn't matter as much as strength. So if your feet turn out only a little bit, but you're really, really strong and you can hold it, then that's what we're looking for on pointe. We don't want to get up there and then just have our legs fall into parallel. The more important thing is the muscle engagement, that we're really supporting our feet up on pointe, because a really important thing in pointe shoes is that we are using our muscles to lift up out of our shoes, and we're not just sinking down into the earth. So we want to use our core and our turnout to lift up out of the shoes. And it sounds very strange, but we do relieve a little bit of pressure on our feet by using our muscles to lift. Okay, so we got core, turnout. Next is huge and very obvious, which is your ankles and your feet. This seems very obvious, right? Because you're standing on your toes. Realistically, inside the pointe shoe, you do have a lot of support. This is really hard. This is called the box. This does help support you. It helps hold you up a little bit. And then we have the shank, which helps support you from underneath your foot as well. But we do need a lot of strength, specifically to get up onto pointe and to get down off of pointe, as well as just being up there. We need to be able to push with our toes into the floor to get us up on pointe. We need to have very strong intrinsic muscles of our feet, which are those muscles under your arches. They start and end within your feet. That's why they're called intrinsic. Those need to be really strong to support our feet so our bones aren't just taking the brunt of all of this. So that is super important. And then your ankle strength. So like, can you releve a bunch of times? Can you stay up in a high releve, in your highest releve, not necessarily like a hyperextended releve, but in your highest releve? Can you stay in your highest releve for quite a while so that you have the ability to be up on point? So some of these things are going to be necessary for safety, especially your ankles and your feet and that kind of strength. Now, core and turnout is really a big deal. I mean, all of it is going to keep you safer the stronger you are, but really those are a big deal because point work doesn't really work without those things, and you're just not going to make progress. You're going to get your point shoes and be really, really frustrated and just be stuck, not able to do anything. So I like dancers to be strong enough that they can get the point shoes and start making progress right away and not just be stagnating for another year while they build up enough strength to actually use the point shoes. So the thing about being an adult is your bones are set. Like once you're past puberty and all of this, your bones are fine. Like unless you have osteoporosis, in which case we have to be careful the other direction. Your bones are okay and you're not probably going to hurt your bones, but you really are, in order to actually make progress and like do point, like dance in your point shoes, you want to have the strength of the core and the turnout and the ballet knowledge. The ankle and foot strength is hugely for safety, but some of those other things are just because these point shoes, these suckers, are really hard to operate, and we want to be really strong so we can actually do it and we're not just feeling totally lost when we get up on point. Okay, so last piece. Okay, so number one, we had ballet knowledge. Number two, we had strength. We break that down into core, turnout, ankle and foot strength, lower leg strength in general. Then the third big category I look for is ankle flexibility. So I'm gonna just put a foot up here so I can show you what I'm talking about. So here's a foot, right? Here's my foot. If we're talking about your ankle flexibility, we wanna be able to have a straight line across your ankle right here. Now here's an example of a not straight line. So my shin is going one direction, then there's a break right here, and my foot is going up the other direction. Here is straight, and then some people even have a little bit of extra range. So if we're here, where we have a little bit of a break in the front of the ankle, and that line does not continue straight, then we're gonna have a really, really hard time what's called getting over the box. So here's the box or the platform, the shoe. If we don't have that straight line, you picture that straight line needs to be here. If we have that break, our shin's gonna be going straight up and down, and our foot's gonna be coming sideways. So then we're going to be on the back of our box, or on the back of the box here, or back of the platform. Number one, it's a little dangerous to be dancing back there. We're not on a stable place, right? This dancing on the corner is not nearly as stable as dancing on your platform. So we want to be nice and stable up there. And also, again, this comes back to just being able to do it, like being able to enjoy point and being able to execute the steps. It is not that it's not impossible, but it is really, really challenging to do it back here on the back of the box. And so we want to try as much as we can to get ourselves up over the box. So I just want to talk a little bit more about this topic, about flexibility of the ankles, because this is a really, really challenging one for some adults. Many things contribute to the flexibility of the front of the ankle. If we've done any sort of high impact sports as kids, the tissue around the front of the ankle, there's a band of tissue around here, locks up and will cause your foot to be a little bit further back. So massaging is huge in addition to stretching. Massaging is a big deal on the front of that ankle. You can use your thumbs, you can use a massage ball, you can go see a professional like a chiropractor, acupuncturist, someone who does body work to really work that out. But the front of the ankle flexibility, that tissue buildup, is a big deal for adults where that foot doesn't extend to its full range. Most people have the full range ability in their bone structure, but that tissue just gets so tight over the top that it becomes really difficult to get that range of motion. Just stretching alone oftentimes isn't enough to actually combat this, and a little bit of massage is necessary too. So you can do it with your fingers, or you can go see a professional for that to help you through that. So those are the three big areas. We've got ballet knowledge, we've got strength in those core, turnout, ankle, feet strength, and then ankle flexibility. Those are what I think are the biggest, most important categories. Of course, there's micro details within each of those, but those are what I see are the most important categories to having someone be safe and healthy and enjoying the process of being up on point. A couple of other things that I look at that are sort of nice to haves, but are going to be a predictor of early success in your pointe shoes. So by early success, I mean that you're going to get your pointe shoes and you're going to start feeling like you can do it pretty quickly within several classes, within a handful of classes. Without these things, it's not that you're necessarily going to get hurt or not that you're necessarily not going to be able to do it. It's just going to take you longer because you have to also develop these things in conjunction with having your pointe shoes. Totally fine. If you've got the mental stamina to make it through and keep working at it day to day, that's awesome. You're going to be fine. But let's talk about a couple of additional details. I'm going to stick you on the floor so I can show you a few things. So number one, as we think about the shape of our foot. So how we stand is super important when we're standing on flat. So when I look at a dancer's feet, I'm going to go from the back view so I can show you what I see. What I'm looking for is that we're not rolling in on the feet. So you can see from the back view the most that I have a little bit of a bend in my Achilles, more so on my left foot than my right foot, because my left foot does have a lot more of that happening with it in general in life. So this, when the arches are fallen here, is a sign that these muscles are not at their strongest under the foot. And so that's something that we want to look at supporting, because then what happens is when we get up to releve, then our arches are falling in and we're not supported, and then we're up on point and we're just hanging on this region of our foot, and it's actually can be a little bit dangerous there. You can get injured there if you're not supporting your arches and having a nice lined up releve there. So that's sort of a big one for nice safe pointe work. The second thing that I like to talk about is the articulation of the foot. Now again, this is something where you want to be able to do it for foot strength, general ballet knowledge, and all of those categories. And that's the ability to move your toes independently of your ankle. This motion right here, see how my ankle, this big snowflake right here, isn't moving and just my toes are moving. That's sort of a big deal when it comes to pointe work, because what happens when we're up on point is this is how we control our pointe shoes. This motion is how we get up to the top and how we start to come down. This motion is critical for controlling your pointe shoes. Now again, without this, I don't think you're necessarily guaranteed to get injured or not be able to do pointe work, but your feet aren't gonna have that manipulation that's gonna look like soft, or your feet are in socks. They're gonna look a little harder in your pointe shoes. So we wanna be able to manipulate the toes separately from the ankle in order to have that nice, beautiful look that we all want in our pointe shoes. A couple more points here. The range of the motion here is really important. The last thing I want to mention here is around injuries. So generally speaking, just to put this out there, I don't see too many adults who keep coming, keep trying, keep working, and don't get there. So when we're talking about adults who want pointe work, they keep working, they keep coming, they keep working at it, they always get there. I've seen a lot of people give up on themselves and a lot of people quit and they don't get there, but the ones who keep going and keep working and keep trying, I see them all get there and they all improve and they all do an awesome job. So all this information, I don't want it to deter you. I want it to hopefully be a tool for you to feel empowered that you can improve your feet, you can improve your ankles, it takes hard work. I'm not here with an instant result for you. It takes hard work, but you can get there. I've seen lots of people get there. I've helped lots and lots of people get there. Keep working at it, keep believing that you can do it, and you will get there. We started with a program for their online dancers where we've helped just a very small pilot group of dancers get up on point for the first time from their home, and it's been super successful so far. I offer a whole video consultation where the dancer takes a video of their feet from several different angles. It's about 20 minutes of looking at their feet, all the things that I mentioned here today about their ballet knowledge, their strength, their core, and their turnout. Then sent them out into the world to go get their pointe shoes. The fitters all thought they were awesome and super strong, and then now we're working with them at home online to get up on those pointe shoes. The fact that that's even a possibility here at Broche and with many other teachers is fabulous news, especially for adults who don't have access to pointe work in a local studio. And sometimes in a local studio there's like pointe work for teenagers or kids, but not necessarily for adults. So the fact that this is starting to exist and that we're able to have the tools to see and help you do it safely at home is amazing. Um, Having said all of that, my last point here I want to make is injury history, and then I see a couple questions in the comments. And let me know, send me your questions in the comments here while I finish this injury history part of the topic. The other big thing, the last big thing that we want to be super careful of with point work is injuries. So especially lower leg injuries, ankle injuries, toe injuries, these sorts of things. The big thing with injuries is how much it can limit your range of motion in the future. So if you've had an injury in your ankle, there's a lot of scar tissue built up, and that scar tissue is going to be a big contributing factor to not having that full range in your ankle. So that scar tissue is something, again, you can get looked at. You can get people help you take care of the scar tissue. Anytime you're working through scar tissue, you have to always make sure you're strengthening, because that scar tissue is there to protect you from twisting your ankle again or hurting yourself again. And it needs to be backed up. It needs to be backed up with strengthening exercises as well, so that you're not just breaking up the scar tissue and then now you have a really loose joint that you're dealing with. If you're breaking up scar tissue, hopefully you're working with someone who's also giving you physical therapy exercises to help you improve that. Having said everything about everyone making it, the only time that I see someone with severe limitations and a big challenge getting up on point is when there's pins involved. If you've got your ankle pinned back together, then we need to be super, super careful. I wouldn't put you up on point without having a doctor talk with you and seeing what kind of range is safe. Anytime you've had some serious surgeries or pins, I would definitely want another opinion of someone who could take a look at a deeper level, maybe with x-rays, maybe with things like that. So that's really the biggest time when I'm really concerned with putting someone up on point, other than just this strength test and mobility test and all that stuff that I talked about. If you've got some serious injuries and injury history, then personally I wouldn't be comfortable getting you up on point without a second opinion, just to make sure we're not doing any serious damage to your body and to your ankles. So with that, I have a couple of questions in the comments. I'm just gonna get a quick plug in of my phone and change location here while we do it. Let me pull up the comments. All right. So let me just grab them here. All right. One moment, just figuring out how to pull them up on my phone. Bear with me, everyone. Live chat, all message are visible. Perfect, we got it, awesome. Okay, so how can I improve my ankle strength? I have so many videos on my channel for ankle strength. I have several videos. I'll link to them in the description below, but I have lots of videos there. I also offer a full course with actually 20 practice sessions of 10 each, along with 8 instructional videos of how to do all of them. It's super in-depth versions of what I have on my YouTube channel, but I have at least 4 videos on my YouTube channel of strengthening your feet. We've got strengthening, massaging, TheraBand work, ball work, all of that stuff is on there on the YouTube channel, as well as in that course. It's called the Journey to Point course, and it's on brocheonline.com. So I'll link that in the description as well afterwards, so you can have that too to look at. So those YouTube videos on strengthening your ankle, there's so many techniques of how to do it, how to strengthen it. And again, I just want to stress how possible it is to do this work. We're not talking about rocket science here. That's one of my biggest beefs with point work in the ballet world in general, is that people make it seem so mystical and so like there's no idea or how to do it, or like what it could possibly go into it. But like it's really pretty straightforward once you get into it. You want to have really strong and healthy ankles that can move in all directions in a really healthy and strong way. Like I said, ballet knowledge, turnout, core. It's not like a mystical thing that takes 100 years to get. It's like a really known process for how to get strong. Like I said, unless we've got those injuries that we're dealing with, it's a pretty known process for how to get this strength and flexibility. Like we know a lot in the ballet world about this. So I just hope that it's not so mystical and that it's not this like big confusing thing that we have no idea how to get to. Let me just go to the next question. I see a couple there. Missed the first minutes. This will be available online to rewatch. Yes, YouTube is awesome. They should save it so you can rewatch it later, Tammy. And then the online program. Yes, I do. I did already expand my online program actually this last month for adults who want to get on point for the first time. So I offer a video consultation That's about 20 minutes of you filming your feet from multiple different angles, going through all the different criteria that I mentioned. And then I do a full video feedback for you. So basically what I do is I watch your video and record myself watching your video. I hit pause, I draw on your feet, I draw on your ankles, I help you understand what I'm looking for and what I'm seeing. If I feel like you're ready already, then I'll recommend someone to go get pointe shoes with, whether that's the local shop or the pointe shop who does online fittings. And then we do have a pointe class on the schedule called My First Pointe Class. And it's literally that. It's your first pointe class, and we go over all the basics: how to tie your shoes, how to use your toes, how to stand up on pointe, and all of that stuff all from home. So that's a new class that we have on the schedule. We're on our 6th class, My First Pointe Class, and we'll be recycling to start over on class 1 in a few weeks. Timing exactly TBD, but check it out. I'm still accepting the video consultations to get ready for the next one. So it should be in a few weeks if you're already ready. I'll put that link in the description as well if you're interested in that. So yeah, you can do, I can check out your feet from all those different angles and give you my advice and opinion. And again, if we've got those injuries, I do generally want a second opinion to help me make sure that you're being safe. But yeah, I'll take a look at your feet from all those angles and give you my thoughts. It's always my belief that if it's not now, it's not an if thing. It's like a when thing. It's like where are we now? Where do we need to be? And how can we get you there? I really don't think in most cases, I've seen very few cases where I think, wow, this person's never going to get on pointe. I really don't see that happening. I really truly believe that anyone with the dream and the appetite for it can work enough to get there, and will get there. So the big thing to understand with the video consultation is I give you lots of feedback, but all of it comes from a place of helping you try to figure out how to get there to that end goal, because the pointe shoes are so magical and beautiful and wonderful, and I know we all dream of them. And I hope to get as many people on board as possible. Awesome, Tammy. I'm glad to hear it. Send me that video. It should be great. I'm excited for the next group. I've got about 3 people who sent me their initial video in September. I gave them a bunch of specific exercises and homework to do to help them get ready for pointe. And so I'm expecting a few videos from them coming back to me now after they've been doing their homework for about 6 weeks. And I'm really excited for the next batch of new pointe dancers, because there couldn't be anything more exciting in the ballet world, right? I think tutus, tiaras, and pointe shoes are like just the most exciting thing about ballet. I mean, don't get me wrong, pirouettes are cool too, but you know what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm saying. Awesome dancers. I hope all of this was helpful. As always, I'm super active in the comments on YouTube. Let me know what questions you have if you're watching this after the live stream. Again, I'm going to link to those YouTube videos, our journey to pointe and our pointe consultation in the description. Feel free to reach out. I'm always reachable also at hello@brocheballet.com. Send me your questions, your pointe questions, your ballet questions. Always happy to come back on and give you what I think. So have an awesome rest of your day, and thank you everyone for tuning in. It was so great to see you.